What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some big news that came out around the world, what's happening with earnings that just came out, and what you should be watching for as time progresses for the share price for NIO. But before I break into all this information, before I talk about why the market got a big rug pull as we got some bearish news, let me just mention a few things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. NIO is down 8%, Tesla is down 6%, SPY is down 1.4%. The QQQ is also down 2.42%, almost giving away all the gains from yesterday. The market is getting a big rug pull. Why is this happening? The first thing is at 10 o'clock a.m. today, we had the manufacturing numbers. The manufacturing sector is slowing down as the PMI is below expectations. New orders are slowing down. The manufacturing employment is below expectations. And finally, we're starting to see manufacturing prices going up as new orders are slowing. So this is a bearish catalyst. That's the first thing that came out. Secondly, we had some very, very intense things developing in the Middle East. This is not great news, guys. I'm not going to go over the full details. I kind of want to avoid talking about things like this, but I just want to say that it's very sad to see tensions rising like this. At the end of the day, the citizens, innocent people, are the ones who pay the biggest price. So I hope for peace. I hope that things don't escalate. And I just want to say that the situation is very tense right now. And this is what's part of the reason why the market's dipping. As far as NIO goes, NIO ended up surpassing the 20,000 delivery threshold for July. That is actually some good news. They're up almost 44% compared to the previous year. That's not bad whatsoever. Now, one thing worth noting, though, is as good as their numbers were, the number is actually lower than what we saw during the previous month when you actually look at this. So we did 20,498 deliveries for July. We had 11,964 premium SUVs and 8,500 premium sedans. That's good news for NIO. However, compared to the previous month, that's a slight decrease. We actually did more in June with over 21,000. And then finally, we had about 107,000 plus deliveries for 2024 so far. That's an increase by 43.9% year over year. Total deliveries are now at 557,000. That is once again not bad. However, when you look at this, we did 21,000 deliveries in June, 20,000 in July, the third straight month of doing over 20,000. You would think that this should be bullish for NIO, but all the factors combined caused this to still drop. We popped a bit and started dipping a little bit. The first thing is this is technically below what we saw in June, but that's not the main reason why we're dropping. Also, there's a lot of tensions around the world. Geopolitics are getting in the way, guys. It's really, really intense. That's why Tesla dumped, so did NIO. And there's also some news coming out about other factors. So I want to just bring that up just real quick. As far as SPY goes, we have a 2.35 put to call ratio. The majority of positions are in puts, so we'll have to see what this leads to. But I am concerned about something else. We have big tech earnings also coming out today. Once again, guys, not looking too good. So Apple's share price is up about only 1%. It's not really that big of a move, unfortunately. Sales are up 5%, which is not bad. They beat on EPS and revenue. They also beat on iPhone, Mac, and iPad revenues. Wearable devices and accessories are also up quite a bit in terms of revenue. Everything was a nice beat, at least in terms of their margins and such. So pretty good earnings. Sales are up 5%, and their overall services are looking pretty good. So not bad whatsoever. Guidance is looking so pretty good so far. So I think that this is a pretty good for what we're seeing, and we're starting to see a lot of growth in their iPad division. So not bad whatsoever. So that is pretty good earnings, but unfortunately, it wasn't really enough to wow investors too much. We're only up 1%, so that's something else that's worth noting. However, there is something else that's impacting us even more. Apple's only 1% up, but Amazon is tanking right now. It's down 7%. Unfortunately, they did not give us the best of earnings. So EPS was just slightly a beat, revenue was a miss. Amazon Web Services was above expectations, but advertising is actually below in revenue. So two little misses thus far. And then unfortunately, when it comes to their guidance, things are not looking that great. Their guidance is pretty disappointing for Q3, according to reports. And the forecast revenue in the current quarter is between 154 billion to 158.5 billion. That's an 8 to 11% growth. Analysts were looking for 158 billion as the midpoint. Our midpoint is only 156 billion. So that's below expectations. Not good guidance. Then we have Intel, which is down 20%. They're going to cut 50% of their workforce. They missed on guidance. EPS is below expectations, so is revenue. Not good for Intel. Intel is tanking, Amazon's tanking, Apple's just a little bit in the green. Is it enough? It might not really help the market. That might turn us more bearish instead because the bears have a bigger edge. As far as NIO goes, it's very typical for deliveries to kind of slump a little bit during this time, but then continue to increase later on. But that's something else that's worth noting. For NIO, we had about 87 million in volume, high volume selling, which is a bad sign. Short volume is going up, and also we're going to be looking for new analyst ratings. Fridays are not the strongest of days; we're only green about 52% of the time. And just note the share price is looking bearish. So honestly, guys, my analysis depends on a lot of different factors. I want to say that I can't predict everything when it comes to news. We had a bullish catalyst, which was Jerome Powell and Meta's earnings. That's why the market pumped in the morning. But then all this Middle Eastern news and all these other pieces of news came out, even the manufacturing numbers, and that caused the market to dump. So now the market's looking a little bit more bearish. It's flipped again. Now, the move does favor the downside, especially because Amazon is not doing well for earnings. It's making a big move down. So is Intel. And Apple is just kind of flat. It's not really giving us a nice counter trend move. So that's not the best of news. And then on top of this, the situation in the Middle East, if it remains very tense, that could lead to some selling. If things change, we'll see. But for now, we're still looking bearish. So watch $4 on NIO. If we lose this, we're dipping all the way down to about 3.6. To rebound, we want to see this break past 4.5, but we're favoring a move down to 4 flats, if not lower levels on NIO. For SPY, we are barely at our key EMAs. Let me just show you the 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour, we're kind of losing our 200 EMA. We're barely at 541. If we continue to fall, there might be a test of 538 again, if not 536. That's where we have previous resistance becoming support. And we'll see if 536 holds. If it doesn't hold, we could be dipping down to 532. So in my opinion, I think we look a little bit more bearish, especially on the 4-hour time frame. We're favoring the downside a bit more. So this favors move to the downside, in my opinion. I think that's looking more favorable, especially heading into tomorrow. The news in the Middle East is bearish, and then we also have this bad news from Amazon. To be bullish, you want to see it break past 544 and then 546. As of right now, I'm not really seeing that, so it's looking a little bit more bearish, so just be very careful. For Nvda, we're at 108. If this fails us, we'll be dipping all the way down towards 103.5, around 104. If we're bullish, you want to break past 112. This is favoring a move to the downside, especially on the 4-hour time frame. So that's not looking too good in my opinion. This is looking a little bit more bearish. To be bullish, you want to see this break past 112 and 116, but this is still favoring downside. So it's still favoring a move right back down. Right now, Amazon's earnings is not helping this, and also the situation in the Middle East. That's why Nvidia kind of pumped and then dumped. So this may continue to dip. So just be careful. We look a little bit more bearish. For Bitcoin, we're trying to rebound, testing our 20 EMA, but overall, this is still a big downtrend. We'll watch and see if we could break and hold above 65,400. If we do so, we could be getting closer to 66,000. If not, expect to dip back down to 64,500. So we'll see how things go. For other factors out there, we also have Tesla looking kind of bearish in terms of its trend now. Got a big rejection after this bad news came out. Once again, guys, there's no way I could have predicted this news about the Middle East and also what happened with manufacturing numbers. I can't predict everything, and sometimes unexpected things can happen. So I just want to give you guys my honest assessment. We're barely holding 215 on Tesla, excuse me. If we lose that, we'll be dipping all the way down, in my opinion, towards 206. And if that fails us, we'll be on our way down towards 200. So we look a little bit more bearish. We'll see if we hold this or not. If we do hold this, look for 222 to be retested, but this is favoring downside right now, at least technically speaking. We got some bad news, so just be careful, guys. The market is taking a hit. QQQ is also dipping quite a bit. We're at 457. We were attempting to bounce, only to reject. We'll be watching to see how will we hold around this 455 zone. If we lose this, we'll be looking for 450. If we hold this, we could go back up to 460, but this is favoring downside, especially because Amazon's not looking too good, and we're selling off in the after hours. Right now, Aapl is just a little bit in the green during the after hours, but it's not that good of a move, guys. We're still kind of flat. Watch 222 as resistance. We're barely holding 220. If we lose that, we'll be looking for 218 and then 215 as our key supports. This is looking a little bit more bullish. Might try to test 222 tomorrow, but it's just a very, very slight move. It's not as big as Amazon's, and that's what's kind of affecting us. The IWM, we're barely holding 216. If we lose this, we'll be looking for 213 for the gap to fill. If you hold this, we could rebound to 219. We're still favoring the downside, so just be careful. Coinbase is trying to rebound just a bit after earnings, but we're still at 220, so it's not really that big of a move. Not really affecting the market as much. Coinbase is not that massive compared to like Amazon. So be careful, guys. We could be retesting 220. If we break that, 222 could be coming. Might try to push, so we'll just have to see how things go. Amazon is tanking. It's down 7%. This is having a bigger effect on the markets. We're going to be watching to see if 170 holds. If not, we're going all the way down to 165. Not looking too good, guys. That's also dragging down Meta. Meta's down 0.05% right now, but it's also dipping a bit. We might be approaching our 200 EMA. If we don't reclaim 500, look for 488. I think we might retest 488 tomorrow. So be careful. Microsoft is also dipping. Have a bit of a dip towards that 410 area. Also, Google's dipping a bit. We could be looking for 168. AMC is starting to reject here. We lost our 50 EMA, so I think 5 is likely coming. And GameStop is continuing to fall. We might be approaching the 20 area. So that's it for my analysis. The market's looking more bearish because we got some new catalysts. And as much as I try to predict things, I could be right the majority of the time, but sometimes I can't predict some news. I can't predict when the next pandemic will happen. I can't predict when big events happen around the world. So sometimes unexpected things could happen, and that's why you have to be open minded. I want to just give you guys a warning about that. With that being said, I appreciate you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great day. As far as NIO goes, there's going to be a risk of downside looking at all these factors affecting these markets. So please be aware of that and be ready for a test of 4. If that breaks, we could be falling towards 3.6. So be careful, guys. It is what it is. We'll just remain calm, cool, and collected. And I see this as another opportunity to load up on shares for the long term. But remember, for the long term, that could take over a year until NIO starts to see new highs out of the range we're in. So be patient, do what you have to do, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.